perhaps completion is where you're just done, where the book is no longer interesting. You actually feel like the book sucks. So you DNF it. You do not finish the book or the project. Welcome to Sip, Knit, and Page Flip, the cozy podcast where literature meets fiber arts. Join me, Mrs. Makita R., as I blend my passion for reading and crafting in a warm and inviting space designed for book lovers, knitters, and fiber artists alike. Each episode, you'll enjoy engaging discussions about your favorite books while sipping on a hot cup of tea, wine, or coffee. So get ready for delightful conversations about our latest literary gems, classic reads, and everything in between, all while sharing tips and tricks for knitting and other fiber arts. So whether you're nestled in your favorite chair with a good book or working on your latest project, this podcast is your perfect companion. So grab your needles, your favorite beverage, and let's create a tapestry of stories together. So, welcome to my podcast. I'm so glad that you've joined me today. We are going to be talking a bit about completion. I am going to share some of my whips, some of the books that I've read and I'm going to be reading. And today we're even going to be talking about some TV shows and movies that I've been watching lately. So, yes, grab your cup of tea, wine, or coffee, and let's get started. So today I do have my notes with me. If you see me looking down or anything here in YouTube land, then you'll know why. Again, I want to welcome you in here to the podcast. I just want to share with you all the things that I've been doing and I'm excited about. And one quick reminder that I want to do is if you are joining me on the podcast and there are things that I'm going to do that are visual and you want to see them, you can pop on over to the YouTube channel, which is Sip, Knit, and Page Flip. And there you'll get a complete visual of everything that I'm doing on the podcast. But also, my main channel, because that is a podcast channel, my main channel is Mrs. R's Books and Things. And if you join me over there, then you will not only be able to see the podcast, but you'll also be able to see all of the updates that I do in between the podcast shows, which include book updates. I sometimes share my thoughts on different things. I do the book reviews that I have not uploaded here. I show you the different projects that I'm actually working on. If you want to get those updates in between, then you can go to Mrs. R's Books and Things and you'll get all those updates. There will be a link down below for the show notes and any other particular notes that are necessary for the podcast. If you are joining me on YouTube, hi and welcome. So nice to have you here. I hope you are enjoying the scenery. But either way, I just want to thank you for taking the time to join me. I enjoy and I'm honored to be a part of your journey, a part of your day, your weekend. And I'm so glad that you decided to take this time to come and sit with me. So glad to have you here. Welcome to my little corner of the world. It is, a bookish, crafty space, and it's one that I thoroughly love and enjoy. And I just want to, invite you to create your space in the world, but also join mine. Let's take a quick moment to talk about what we are drinking. Today, I'm going to be doing a bit of a dual drink, and that is because I need to get my water in, okay? So today, we're drinking from a cup that my husband got me, and it says on one side, just one more chapter, but on the other side, it says I have no shelf control. Funny thing was, when he first got me this cup, I was so excited because it was like one more chapter, right? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And then I look on the other side and I start cracking up because it says I have no shelf control. And the truth is, I have a lot of self control, but I do struggle with the shelf control, y'all. Like, it's just the truth. I've been looking around recently and I'm like, I don't have any more room on my shelves. And we're going to be moving soon. And when we do, I may have to get another shelf, like truthfully, because I'm surrounded by my books and things that I love. And right now, I'm getting to the point where like a lot of my shelves are either double stacked or they've got books in front of them. And I don't want to damage my shelves, but before we moved into this house, I actually had an additional, I think, 2 or maybe 3 shelves that were broken when the movers, brought everything in. But, I kinda compensated for that, but not really because I bought an additional shelf over here, but that is now the homeschool shelf. And then I have another shelf that is here with my yarn and stuff on it, but this is like my Christian living and my historic shelf, but these are all double stacked as well. And so when we move into our new house, I'm going to probably get like 2 additional shelves, and I may even have some shelves put over the window in the home that we're going to be in. I'm not quite sure, but I'm supposed to be talking about what we're sipping. So, this primarily will be my water intake, which I am going to also be encouraging you to do some hydrating as well. And then I am also going to be drinking from this beautiful flower mug, and it was something that I purchased for myself for Christmas. However, I don't really think it's really Christmassy. I think there's supposed to be mistletoes on it. It's a pink cup with white flowers and these little red dots, and you'll see it inside of the YouTube video. But in here, I have a nice little latte, and it's a brown sugar latte that I made here at home. I just added 1 shot of the blonde espresso from Starbucks. It's the Starbucks blend that you can purchase at the grocery store with a little teaspoon, and it literally is a teaspoon. It's not the one you would measure, but I bought myself a golden teaspoon, and I use that. I think I have 1.5 of those of brown sugar in here, and then the rest is oat milk that I put inside of the frother, and that heated up, and so that is what we're drinking today. So that's what we're sipping on this morning. Okay, let's do this. Hydration reminder. So I am not really a fan of drinking water. I know, it's not good. I even struggled like during my first 2 pregnancies with hydration, and I was always going to the hospital because I wasn't drinking enough water. And here I am 23 years after being pregnant with my first child, and I've created kind of like this new system for myself where I'm drinking more water. And what I've learned, especially since having like a cup, right? And I find that having a really great cup next to me helps. But what I am finding, and I was talking to my husband and my daughter about this, is now that I drink more water, I am more thirsty. Crazy. And my daughter, she's 17. She is like our home health, food, and nutrition specialist. Can't get words out. Blah, 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 blah. She has told me that when you don't drink water, your body kind of just holds on to it because it thinks that that's all you're going to have. But then when you begin to drink more water, your body is like, okay, we're going to have more water. So now we can use it in different ways. And that is why we become more thirsty. So today, I want to encourage you that if you are like me and you're someone that is not a fan of water, right? Let's do ourselves a favor and make sure that we're actually hydrating. Let's make sure that we're taking time throughout the day to drink water, that we're getting the tools that we need that maybe help us to stay encouraged to drink the water, like me having a cup. And then I'm going to try to remind myself here during the video, during the podcast recording, to just take a quick sip. And I don't plan on letting you hear me drink the water or anything, but I am going to remind you as well to just take some water. At least that's my hope. Okay. So I wanted to remind you about that during this episode. And then I also want to remind you to take your vitamins. So as we grow older, our body has different things that we need, and we don't always get the nutritional value from our food. Maybe it's something we don't like. Maybe we just are on the go. Maybe we're just not implementing, the healthy things that we need into our diet, but also a lot of our food, fruits and vegetables just do not have the same amount of minerals that they would have had a long time ago because there's a lot of spraying on the ground with the pesticides. And then there's a lot of things that happen with the minerals in general. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, right? But my point here is that as we grow and as we change and as we get busier in our lives and all these other things are happening, We need vitamins. We need more minerals. Our body changes and we need more. And so I do want to encourage you to take your vitamins, figure out what it is that you need, and take them on a regular basis. For me, I have implemented iron, vitamin C. I do take a daily vitamin, but I also take primrose oil, which is a healthy supplement for women. And so we can talk about that at another time, like get into it. So if you want to know more about this, just post a comment or something down in the video. I'll also be able to see some of the things I'm going to ask you about here because I do have some questions for you. I want to get some of your feedback. Leave some comments. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you want to talk more about adding healthy supplements and vitamins into your routine, then we can do that. I also love to cook, you guys. I absolutely love to cook. I haven't put that here because I'm like, we're focused on the books and the crafting, and I don't want to add too many things in. But that's the reason why my channel is Mrs. R's Books and Things over on TikTok, is because, I mean, not TikTok. I have a TikTok, but I'm trying to decide if I'm going to keep it anyway. Over on YouTube is because so many times I want to talk about other things and they are kind of bookish, but then they're not. So I do planning over there and I talk about um, a lot of stuff. Okay, I digress. So we were talking about the sips. We've got into our vitamin reminders. So if you have not already taken your vitamins today, go ahead and take them. Okay. Please make sure that you are staying on top of these things. Recently, I found out that someone who I am in communication with a lot and I enjoy talking to, I found out that they needed a blood transfusion and their iron was extremely low. And as someone who has to take vitamin supplements, it was a reminder to me to make sure that I am constantly on a regular basis, consistently taking my vitamins. And so I want to remind you of this here. Another reminder, and today's episode, yes, I'm doing a lot of quick reminders here because we're going to get into these topics. But another reminder is take care of yourself. Make time for you. Of course, love your family. Take care of your family, right? Be involved in the community. Do all the things that you should do. Fulfill your responsibilities, but also make time for yourself. Make time to sit with yourself, to think about the things that are important to you. Take time to journal, but also I want to encourage you to make time for the things that you love, which brings us right into our next portion of the podcast, which is the knitting. Really quick, before we get into everything, I want to show y'all a really cool tool. You guys, I'm recording with my dog in the room. She doesn't want to leave me, right? And I don't want to make her leave me, but she was snoring a minute ago. And she has this thing where she likes to lick her paws. Anyway, um, I want to show you really quick a tool that my husband bought me that I absolutely love and I've been using a lot. It is this book stand. I have one right here that he bought me, right? And I use this one for when I'm knitting and things like that. We're going to talk about this picture because isn't this picture gorgeous? But this particular stand I use when I'm in the bed or on the couch because it has a little cushion here. And then the front part of it is the book stand opens up like this, and then you can pull out the portions to hold the pages. And this is really great. At first, when I first got it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel kind of lazy. But then I knit when I am reading certain books now. And I've always wanted to do that. And so, see, it stands up like this. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, it is a book lap stand. And you can sit the book on your lap and then it tilts up and then you put the book in it and then you can do whatever you want. You can continue to turn the pages. So today I'm actually going to use this stand for my show notes. Let's take a quick water break. I know we just got started, but let's go ahead. I want to talk today about completion, right? I said this earlier and then we got into the hydrating, but I was listening to someone and he was talking about this idea of being a completionist when it comes to reading books. And I thought about it. There are times where I am like a completionist where I really just want what I'm working on to be finished. But most of the time, I am not that. Most of the time, I am enjoying the progress that I'm making through my projects. And even with my books, I'm enjoying the experience, right? I also want to add in something that I recently heard, which really caused me to think about the progress that I'm making through my reading journey and my crafts. Okay. So I can't remember who it was that I was watching when he said this, but he talked about how there are probably 200 million books currently published just in the United States alone. And then he mentioned that if we live to be 75 years old, right, which, let's say you live to be 100, 120, and you've read 100 books a year, you have literally only read 12,000 books in your entire life. And that's if you started at age 1. Okay. So with this, I realized, oh my gosh, I am missing out on all the books I could possibly be reading. And my daughter, my 12-year-old, she's like, well, Mom, you need to read faster. And the truth is, I'm not going to be able to read that fast that I can read the 20 million, 200 million, because it's not 20 million, it's 200 million books that have been presumed to be published in the United States. And by the time I'm 100, that number would probably have tripled by then because of the way that publishing is right now with self-publishing and all those other things. Okay, now let's take that into the crafting space as well. There are so many things that I want to work on, and there's so many options and so many things I want to create. So many adventures I want to go on with myself and on this knitting journey, right? Or this crochet journey or this spinning journey. But the thing is, I'm not going to be able to do all those things. I'm just not. I will be able to do a large majority of what I intend to do because that is where my view is and that is what I'm focused on. But I'm not going to be able to create every single project that someone has, thought of or published or even read all of the books that are in my hobby genre. Okay. So this got me to thinking a lot about this thing about completion. And so I'm bringing this up because I want you to think, if you are a reader, if you are an avid reader, if you are a hobbyist like myself, where you knit, you crochet, you spin, you craft, you weave, you sew, and you're always, looking for another way to enjoy the art experience of self, right? This creative expression of self. I want you to also consider that maybe sometimes completion is where you stop. It's not the totality of what someone has said your project needs to hit, like where your project needs to get to in order to be completed, or even where you need to get to where someone has said that the book is finished. Perhaps completion is where you are satisfied with your progress. So maybe completion at different phases of your life is where you actually finish the book. You finish knitting the project in the time span that you said you were going to finish it. But in other phases of your life, perhaps completion is where you're just done, where the book is no longer interesting, you're not enjoying the journey anymore, you're not getting anything from it, or you actually feel like the book sucks, so you DNF it. You do not finish the book or the project. It's no longer giving what it gave before. You no longer are enjoying the experience, or maybe you've tied some sort of emotion to the project, like I did with my I Heart socks, and it's just something that you need to pause and stop. Okay. Today, I want to encourage you to give yourself the freedom to do either or. Completely finish the project or not. To say, I am done, or to stick a pin in it and say that you will finish it later. I don't have the sweater in front of me, but there was a sweater that I was working on with a group of people. And it was at the same time I was working on the I Heart socks. And my experience just didn't go well. And it was a knit along. And I tied certain emotions to working on that project. And then when things were kind of going weird, I stopped. Well, recently I went back. I thought about how I felt about everything, and I really processed my feelings around all the events, and I decided to finish it. I wish I had included that in this particular show. I didn't. So I have to go find the actual project. But when I finished it, it was very nice because it felt like closure more than it felt like the completion of a sweater. And that is what I'm saying here is sometimes you need closure and sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you need to finish and you will, but sometime you won't. And I think that's a part of life and our experience. And I think that just like I'm saying to myself, we must give ourselves freedom to complete it or to not complete it, depending upon where we are in our lives at the moment. So that's what I wanted to share today. And that's kind of why I don't have my books and my projects listed today in order of finished objects and current works in progress or finished books and current books that I'm currently reading is because I found that when I'm saying on my YouTube channel, I'm saying here in my podcast, when I'm saying this is what I read, I think sometimes what I'm communicating is this is what I've completed in my reading journey. But it's not really true when I say this is what I've read because I am actually reading a lot of things. I'm reading a lot of books. I'm reading my Bible. I'm reading, journals. I'm reading a lot of things. But when I say this is what I've read this month, I'm just saying to you, this is what I've completed. And I think to some degree, it is a diminishing of my actual reading journey and my reading progress because I'm currently reading a bunch of books and I'm currently working on a bunch of projects. And this is what I enjoy as a part of my hobbyist journey, right? I'm a fiber artist, I'm a book collector and an avid reader, and I am currently still growing and changing and evolving as the woman that I am. And that involves my solitary experience through the pages and the fiber and the sewing. And even now, I'm starting to sketch. So, yeah, that's what I want to encourage you with today. And I hope you do find it encouraging. Okay, so now let's get on into knitting. Let's talk about creative space. And I know normally there's like a FO section, which is finished object section, and then there's a WIP section, which is a work in progress section, and then there's like what I'm going to be working on and all these other things. So today, what we're going to be doing is just focusing in on projects in general. We're going to talk about some of the projects that I'm currently working on and some of the projects that I've already finished. And they're not in any particular order, they're just in the order that I wrote them down. And so let's go ahead and jump in. So the first object that we're talking about is not one that is unfamiliar to you if you've been here before. As a matter of fact, you've probably seen it once or twice before, and it is my I Heart socks. So this is the first sock. I finished this sock back in early 2025. It may have even been late 2024 is when I finished this particular sock. And I disconnected from the project because I had some things going on when I started it that the sock was connected to, and it didn't feel right. So as a response, I put the project down and I decided to not work on it, right? However, I recently picked it back up and I found that I actually loved working on this project. So this comes from the Cozy Colorworks, I think is the name of the book. And she makes tons of and by tons, I mean literally, well, not literally tons, but there's probably like 40 patterns that she's created to make socks with. And I love it because it encouraged me to do the color work that I needed to do to continue to push myself as a knitter. Because I think what happens sometimes with our projects is that we get stuck in this zone of feeling like, yes, I'm doing this, I'm good at it, and then that's it. And I think sometimes we need to give ourselves a little bit of a challenge to keep moving forward. I was working on the I Heart stocks, and the part where I was at the time was just simply, I think, at the base of the leg. And so I still needed to go in and finish up the heel of the sock and then do the heel turn and begin working on the foot. And so I've actually completed that now. And we are currently we're working on the foot of the sock. The heel has been done and so has the heel turn. I am working on a pair of signature needles here. It is size, I think it's a 2. I think the actual number is a 2. It might be a 4. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out what size needles these are, but these are signature needles. And this yarn, I'm going to tell you about this yarn. I am currently using Tempting You yarn. I've used Tempting You yarn for a very long time because I have a huge stash of Tempting You yarn. If you are not familiar with Tempting You yarn, you can find it at Clover Hill Yarn Shop in Maryland. Great yarn, you guys. I absolutely love it. This purple is a sparkly purple. And then the other color I am using is Hedgehog Fibers Twisted Sock yarn in the colorway Zephyr. Okay, and this is a white yarn with a lot of little speckles on it. And so what I absolutely loved about when I pair these two yarns together is that the white is white, but it's not. It's like got all these speckles and there's a lot of purple speckles in it. And then the hearts, they're purple with speckles in them as well. So I think once I actually finish these socks, and they're going to be something that I definitely cherish because of how long it's taken me to do it and because of what I've tied to it. So this is currently one of my works in progress. Do you work with double point needles? Because I know there's some people who don't, but I do. And I also work with circulars as well. And I enjoy both of them, honestly. So the next project we're going to talk about here is a personal blanket that I am working on for myself. I think I've been working on it since 2023, I think, maybe 2024. And it is this prism blanket, Prism blanket by Pearl Soho. The pattern can be found online at their website. It is a free pattern, and I am using their yarn that they suggest in the pattern. So this particular blanket, I've been working on it for quite some time. And I was going to initially say that I don't think I made any progress since the last time that I showed you this blanket, but that's not true. I've actually added probably about 3 new blocks to it. They are triangular blocks. There's no need to seam anything together. And we're just doing like a make one at the end and then picking up yarn along the way in order to combine the squares. My intention for this blanket is for it to be a full size blanket, and I'm currently at about the twin size for it. And I'm starting to wonder if I still want it to be a full size because it's supposed to be for me, right? And I am enjoying knitting this. I've also enjoyed the fact that it's taken me quite some time. But I want to say this blanket is big. It is big enough for me to sit on the couch right now and I could cover up my head and go all the way down to my feet with this blanket and I can wrap myself, kind of um I can wrap it over me and I can sit and watch a movie because I literally when I'm knitting with it, I have it on my lap. That being said, I think I still want it to be a full size kind of because I wanna be able to sit with my husband on the couch, and then he can, snuggle with me, or when I'm sitting on the couch and one of my daughters come and sit with me, they can. My sons are not gonna, but anyway, what I have to be careful about is sometimes they like the blankets that are purchased for me and they disappear, and so I have to make sure that when I make this blanket that they know it's mine and they don't, like, go take my blanket or anything. But that's what I'm thinking of with this. And I have had to rip back this blanket 3 times because I did the panels incorrectly. I sat down when I first purchased the yarn for this blanket and I created like the map of colors and how I wanted to be laid out. And then I changed it. But when I was working on it, probably in the past 3 months in 2025, I mixed up some of the panels and then I looked down at my blanket and I'm like, why does it look like that? And I realized my colors are off. So I had to literally go rip back a few portions and restart. And so this has definitely been a work of love for me. And I am thoroughly enjoying it. I think if you are looking for a project that is almost a mindless project, right? Because I don't have to think about what I'm doing once I get into the nitty gritty of it. But you still want to be able to hone in on a particular skill, I would encourage this. This definitely helps me with my increases and my decreases and my pickups. And so, what I know I can do now is if I decide to design a sweater and I want to do increases or decreases in the shoulder or the underarm or even in the waist, or if I would like to add a new color or create some sort of design, I know that there's a lot of things I don't have to do if I don't want to seam it together by, stitching it individually. I know now how to create that particular design and structure because of what I've been doing with this blanket. So, this blanket is something that, again, it is a labor of love for myself. I've definitely enjoyed working on it. And I'm starting to wonder, like, when will I be finished? And so I've kind of given myself a soft goal for this because I think I want to use it this fall. And so I'm kind of giving myself between now, which is March, through the end of the summer to work on this blanket and possibly have it finished so that when the fall comes around, I will have my finished blanket and I'll be able to really enjoy it during that time of year. And so we'll see because, like I said, it's a soft goal. We'll see what happens. And I'm going to continue working on it. I never intended on finishing this blanket during the same time that the cow went on. I think it was like a month cow or 2 month cow, maybe even a 3 month cow. I never intended on finishing it in that time period. I just given myself the time to finish a blanket. This is the biggest blanket I've ever done. I've done 2 before, and I've given those away in regards to, like, full blankets. I've given those away, and this one I'm not giving away, I'm actually keeping for myself. The next project is actually a finished object, and if you watch my YouTube channel, you saw me kinda working on this. I think I've mentioned before that I was working on the squares for this. If not, I think this was something I did kinda spare of the moment because I was gonna create a crochet bag from someone's pattern. And then while I was doing that, I was supposed to be creating, I think, 19 granny squares. And along the way, I said, that's not what I want to do. I need a book cover. And so that is exactly what I created. I created this book cover out of granny squares, sunflower granny squares. And so this is essentially 6 granny squares that I pieced together using um this yarn here, big twist yarn that I got tons of that from Joann's when they were closing. And I used a teal, a navy blue, a baby pink, and a gray to create the book cover. I also did an I cord and I put it on the back of it and I sewed a pink little button on it so that I can actually close the book cover. And then I did a nice little stitch across the top of it. I don't know what the name of this stitch is. It's a crochet one, and I just pulled it out of one of the books that I have. And so I crocheted the 6 granny squares, and then I used, I pieced them together, and I have loved using this because sometimes I am on the go and I have a paperback. This is mostly for my paperback books. And I don't want my covers to get messed up. They can get folded and everything. So I've tossed them in here and I've closed it up. I've taken it with me on the go. And I just read while I'm out my paperback books. I mostly use this when I take my daughter to gymnastics because I carry a bag with me, like my laptop bag, put my laptop in there. I have my knitting project in there and I have a book with me. And again, I don't want my book to get messed up. So I use this book cover. I'm probably gonna make another one out of a different color. I love making it. I'm probably gonna make another one, but the worst thing about the project was weaving in the ends, and boy, was there a lot of ends to weave in. By the time I was done, I actually started weaving in the ends, and then I put the project down for a little bit, and I was like, I'm just going to use it, even though the ends haven't been woven in. And then I actually set aside some time one Saturday morning to just sit and have some coffee and weave in the rest of the ends. I think I also did some of the weaving in of the ends at a gymnastics practice as well. And then it finally got done. And talk about completion and the feeling that you get when you actually finish a thing. It was nice because I was done with it. and then I was able to use it in a, completed manner. So this is really cute. My daughter has even asked me if I could make her a purse that looks like this. And I could see why, because if I take another I cord and I wrap it around, then we've got a cute little bag that could be carried. So I think this is really cute. And that is one of my finished objects. Let's take a minute and do a quick water break. Another project that I was working on, which is partially completed, and I don't know where it is my fingerless mitt that I am making out of the K&C yarn from Joann's as well. But I'm also knitting this knee-high sock out of the same yarn. So how did this come about? I was working on the fingerless mitt and I wasn't using a pattern. I basically was creating it myself. And I started the second one and I forgot how many stitches I started the fingerless mitt off with. And so I cast on 75 stitches and I started knitting and then I got a certain amount completed and I said, this is too big for a fingerless mitt. And so if you look behind me, you will see that I have quite a bit of this same color. This is like a cotton candy, yellow and white striping yarn. It's variegated, so it's not self-striping. It's just a variegated yarn. I have quite a bit of this behind me. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I am actually just going to create a sock. So I started creating this sock, and then I realized that I needed to do a few decreases because the sock itself would be too big to sit around my ankle or even below my calf. So now this is going to be a knee high, and we're almost done with the leg portion of the sock. Now we are about to start doing the heel, and then we will do the heel turn and then begin the other portion. But I think I have probably about 2 more inches of this. And I work on it when I am on the road, when we're going somewhere, when I'm hanging out at family members and friends' houses. I also work on it during gymnastics. I love to have socks with me or fingerless mitts, things like that, because they are quick little projects. And so, yeah, we have one completed fingerless mitt and one almost finished knee-high sock, same colorway. It's going to be really cute to have my fingerless mitts and my socks match. Will I do anything else in that? Maybe a shawl or something. I don't know. But I have a lot of this yarn. I could make another set. And I don't know, maybe someone asked me to make them a pair of socks or something, and I'll decide to do it in that color. We'll see. One thing that you will notice in this particular episode is that some of my projects are not following patterns. And that is because I found that one thing I wanted to do was begin to explore the creative portion of my knitting journey and even my crocheting journey that was experimental and allowed me to do some designing. I did not know I was going to feel that way until I did. Like I just felt it and was like, okay, I'm going to go with this. So you see that in the book cover. And now I'm going to show you this in a cowl that I'm making. And so this cowl comes out of one of my newest acquisitions for books, which is the Doodle Kit Directory, and it is by Jamie Lomax. Now, they have a set of cards that you can pick up that has a lot of color work on it. They're like color work cards. I have a set. I should have brought it out, but I have a set of these color work cards. And she encourages you to either use them to make a sock or to pair those cards together and create a specific design or, I guess, motif from those cards. Now, in here, she also gives you the measurements for a cowl. And I think she also gives you the measurements to make a sock and a pair of mittens. I ordered this book and I used the cowl specifics to make the design. And what I am creating I called it my custom doodle cow, and it is inside of my one of my journals. But as you can see, I created this colorwork pattern that has little mountain ridges on the bottom, and then there's a flower in the middle, and then there's a bush, and then there's another flower, and this repeats, and it's in brown, cream, and pink. And I decided to use some yarn, of course, that I already had. If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm also using this big twist yarn as well. And it is so, so pretty. It's so pretty. I absolutely love how it's coming together. I am about halfway through with it, I think, because I'm doing a small cow. I'm not doing a huge one. I'm doing a small one. And it was just an experiment. It was like, okay, so you want to do color work and you've got tons of yarn to do that with. And you don't really need someone to give you a pattern. You just need to get started. And that's what I did. I sat down one day and I sketched it out. I selected a few of the different patterns in the book and then I got started. And I absolutely love it. It feels nice and cozy. Oh my gosh. I did not know how much I was going to like working with this yarn or what it was going to feel like as it worked up. But I think because it has the color work in it, it makes it thicker and it feels really, really good. Really good. So it's so pretty. Even as I'm looking at it right now, I'm thinking, huh, I may make a hat or I may make some leg warmers or something out of this. This is cute. I don't know. We'll see. All right. And then there is my other creative project that I've been working on. I've probably been working on it for 2 months now. Nope. Yeah, it's 2 months now. It slowed down when I changed what it was. So it is supposed to be a crochet blanket. I was working on a granny square crochet blanket, and it has now turned into kind of like a sweater slash jacket, but it might be turning back into a blanket. I don't know because I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not even sure if I'm going to wear it like that. And so it's not made out of multiple granny squares. It's made out of one singular granny square that just grows and grows and grows. This is a big twist yarn project that I'm doing again. And the colors that I'm using are a baby pink, cream, teal, white, and two different browns. So again, as a quick reminder for you in podcast land, if you would like to see this, you can hop on over to the YouTube channel and you'll see it. But for those of you who are already on the visual part, I'm going to just hold it up really quick and then you can see. I absolutely love this because of the colors, number one. I love the colors. They speak to my soul. Oh my gosh. And the thing about it is the reason why I'm thinking about converting it back to a blanket is because I think I just want to sit down on the couch and just be able to look at it, right? Just be able to look at this blanket. And I'm also kind of afraid that the wear and tear of using this and sitting on the back of it is going to actually make the yarn fuzzy because a big twist yarn is an acrylic yarn. And while it's okay, it still can get fuzzy. And I haven't used this yarn enough to know what it's like when you really, really use it. So that is what it looks like. But I also added a bottom panel to it to extend it vertically so that it could be used as a sweater. Okay, so I'm going to turn around a little bit. You're not going to see the bottom because I didn't extend it, but I've added sleeves. I've added sleeves to it by just simply combining the um, the underparts of it. I've also added a slight border around with a white single crochet. And then the objective is going to be to actually add a hood to the top of it and then a belt buckle around the side so that I can wear it as a robe. Now that I'm looking at it, it's really, really cute. But again, the wear and tear is one of the things that I am concerned about when it comes to actually wearing this. I am concerned that, like, now I'm sitting down. If I sit on this often, will it hold up, right? What if I wear it out? So I haven't decided, is it going to be a house robe, like a house coat, or is this going to be something that I wear out? Now, I've been talking to my 12-year-old, okay? And I'm going to tell you what she said. She said, "Mom, it is so cute. I can see you with a nice shirt and a pair of jeans, and then you put that on and you go out, and it looks so nice." And I thought about it. She's right. I may even wear my Converse shoes with a nice pair of jeans and a nice white shirt, and then put this on and wear it, and I may actually love it. So she was like, "Mom, it would be so cute." And I have to admit, when I put it on and I look at it, it is so cute. But the construction of it, I'm starting to be concerned about the sleeves because, like, if I lift up my arm, the whole bottom part comes up because this is my first time using a crochet. I'm not even using a pattern. I'm creating a pattern. It's my first time doing this crochet wise. Normally, I knit my sweaters and my garments, okay? But isn't it it's so cute, you know? So I'm a little bit torn between whether or not this should be a blanket or if it should stay a robe slash jacket. Again, if it is a robe, I'm gonna add a hoodie. The other thing is I think I'm running out of this brown. I don't think I have any more of this brown. I know I have the pink, I have the green, I have the tan color, and I know I have the white. So we'll see. As I'm sitting here, I'm about to bust out in a sweat because I'm hot having this thing on. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. So I'm interested in knowing what you think. Do you think I should keep it as a robe slash jacket? Should I wear it indoors, outdoors? Or should I just make it a blanket again and just kind of undo some of the portions and turn it back into what it was originally? I would love your thoughts. So this next project, I'm so excited about it. Yep, I sure am because I got my first order, you guys, off of my shop for a pair of knee-high yellow and black socks. This person loves Batman, so the Batman motif for some sort of Batman something will go on there. I haven't quite decided yet. My daughter thinks I should put bats, just bats all over it. I'm not sure yet, but so far we have the cuff of the sock and I am working with double point needles. This is a 2.75. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It is a 2.75 set of double point needles. We are currently doing a 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then we are going to work the project for a certain length because they do want them to be knee highs. We're going to go into the yellow, and then do the heel black and the toe black, and we're going to do a little bit of a fading from the yellow into the black at the heel. I mean, at the toe, not at the heel. So I will be sharing my progress with this sock as we go along. If not on the podcast, because I might be done before my next podcast, I will be showing it on my YouTube channel. And so I showed it in the beginning on a YouTube short. And so that is where you might also see it. Okay. I'll also probably be sharing this on my Instagram. But we are using a black yarn in, I think this is Loops and Threads. I'm not quite sure. The reason why is because I already had it because I did my mother's shawl using this yarn. The other color that I'm using is a yellow, and it is not simply yellow. It is different shades of yellow with white, gold, and it is because I want the socks to have kind of like a whimsical feel. This is a full-blown adult that loves Batman, okay? And I want her to feel fun and whimsical when she puts on these socks. If she did not want them to be knee-high, I would have done like a nice little design from the 52 Weeks of Socks books. But I know that working on a design and making it a knee-high would required me to have so much more yarn, which would have taken the price of the project up a lot higher because we are not using inexpensive, low quality yarn. We're using high quality yarn because we are making custom made socks, right? So I am so excited about this project because it is my first sock order, you guys, and it's not going to be my last. We're just going to say that now. And I just absolutely love that I am making a custom made project for someone that when they get these socks, they are going to love them and use them for years to come. I make my family stuff all the time, but it's the first person who is going to get my handmade items for purchase. And, they're not a family member. So, let's just, for a moment, what kind of bag is this in? This is actually a cloth and paper bag that when I did a cloth and paper order, which is a planning company, they sent me this cute little bag. It's so cute. And so I put my project in here because I was like, why not? This is a great little sock project bag. It can go with me on the go because, I take socks with me as I'm headed out. Now, when it came to making these socks, like selecting the type of yarn to use for this sock, I was so stuck because I was like, okay, this person has never had handmade socks before, and I don't know the wear and tear. So I was gonna make a pair of worsted weight socks, and I had pulled out the big twist yarn in a yellow and in a black, and I wound it already. Like you can see, I had already wound the yarn, and then I did some of the white. Then I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. What if this person doesn't just want to wear these socks around the house? What if they want to put them on when they're wearing boots? What if she wants to go out or something? It's up to her how she wants to wear them. But I thought about when I wear my socks. I wear my socks everywhere. I wear my socks all the time. I wear them in the house. I wear them with, my boots. I wear them with my sneakers. I currently have on a pair of socks and I have my house shoes on, like my handmade socks. I don't even think I buy myself socks anymore because I just don't really need them like that unless they're athletic socks and I don't really need them. So I'm always just making myself some handmade socks. So when I thought about that, I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do the sock weight yarn socks, right? And I'm just going to give her care instructions on how to take care of them, and they should be fine because they are a sock yarn. They're not 100% wool. They have a little bit of nylon and acrylic in them. So she should be fine. But I'm also going to just talk to her about the care for the socks because you do have to be careful. Like when you throw your socks in a washer, it's okay. But then sometimes, depending on the type of yarn, the cuff can stretch and then that can be uncomfortable. And because we're already knitting the sock up to the calf, well, the knee, because they're knee high, they're going to be a little bit bigger anyway. We don't want them to stretch too much. So that is it for that particular project. And I think I may have another order coming in, but we'll see. Someone has asked me some questions about a custom made item. And so we will see what happens with that. Okay. So that's it for what I've been working on, what I've finished. I'm going to be doing another project. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but it's probably either going to be a shawl or a springtime shirt, not a sweater. I already have some projects that are in progress that I need to pick up on, but my concern is like I have no idea where I am with it. And I'm hoping that I was right ready to be with the pattern so that I don't have to rip it back. And those projects are sitting here in my little table with a basket underneath it, and I keep my projects in there. So I have two shawls, a sweater, and I have some yarn set aside for some projects. So I'm going to be picking one of those up for the springtime because I love springtime knitting, just like I love winter and fall knitting. I love all the knitting. I love the knitting all year round. It really doesn't matter what time of season it is, but it's time for me to start another project is basically what I'm saying. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just not sure what it's going to be. Once I figure that out, I'm going to share it with you guys. I'll share it on my YouTube. I'll share it here in podcast land, and I will share it on my Instagram. Again, I'm not quite sure if I'm still going to have my TikTok because I'm a little bit frustrated with it. I've shared this in my video on YouTube, but then I also watched someone else who was like, don't let them kick you off the platform and make you leave. Don't you dare run away. So now I'm torn, and I'm just gonna pray about it, and then I'll figure it out. The other thing that I want to show you is acquisitions. I don't have too many acquisitions, you guys. I don't have too many of those, but my son, my wonderful son, he brought me some yarn. He brought me, this is Yarn Bee Velvety Smooth Sparkle in the color black. And then he bought me the same yarn in the color Ivy. And so this is from, I believe it's from Hobby Lobby. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I might make a hat or a scarf, alternating colors, if I keep it together. If not, then I'll do them separate. It is 61 yards, but they do look nice together. So I'll see what I'm going to do with that. And another yarn acquisition, I was at a dollar store one day. I can't remember what I was going to get. I don't frequent the dollar store too much unless I need something, but I went in and I was looking around because I know that the dollar store has like books and things like that. I did get some books that were $1, you guys. Like I didn't share them on my YouTube because I just put them on a shelf. They were like $1. I also got some yarn. This is the yarn that I got. I got 8 skeins of Premier Just Yarn worsted weight in 109 yards. It is 100% acrylic and the color is light apricot. It's a beautiful color. While I love expensive yarn, I love the yarn I get from the yarn shop and things like that. That is not yarn that I normally use to give projects away for certain things. And that's just because I know that people don't necessarily take care of the projects the same way. So sometimes I just go gather some acrylic yarn because I'm like, the things that I'm going to make may be really, really nice in the acrylic. Plus, I recently started working with children and teaching them how to knit and crochet. And when I do that, I generally provide the yarn so that their parents don't have to get it, not knowing whether or not the child is even going to like it. And so we've done it as a part of like the homeschool group. And I'm considering just starting a thing where I teach kids how to knit and crochet anyway. And we'll see. But this is what I was thinking of when I got the yarn. So we got a yarn acquisition there. Now, my question to you is, would you like to participate in a knit along? It would be a spring knit along and it would last from April through the middle of June. I'm not sure what project we will work on, but that's my question to you. Would you like to participate in a knit along? If your answer is yes, then go ahead and post a comment underneath this video. And if you are someone that is in my community and you want to participate inside of the Discord, then go ahead and just let me know because I am going to ask you guys this question. Water break. So I think by the end of this episode, you will have already drunk about a 16 or 18 ounce of water if you are taking these breaks when I'm taking them as well. Now for our art interlude. As you've seen, and I have shared with you on my other podcast, I have 2 artist children. One is not a child anymore. One is a full-grown adult. The other one is 12 years old. My son is 23. My daughter is 12. And I love to share their artwork with you. And so if you are here in podcast land, I am going to describe it. But if you are on the YouTube channel, then you will get to see it. And I just want to say, I am so proud. Today, we're sharing my daughter's artwork. And these are things that she is creating. And she's pushing herself to experiment more with different types of art. And she paints a lot. And this is the art that has been in the background on the book stand the whole time. But today we're going to look at 2 of her paintings. One is a cloud painting of the blue sky during the day. And as I tilt it, you will be able to see that the method that she used to get the sky to look like it does, there is a changing of the color as you tilt it. And so that is very, very beautiful. The other one is the sky at night when it is raining. And I think she used the same method, but she changed the colors of it because this one is not just blue, it's blue, black, and purple for the nighttime sky. And the clouds are a little bit darker. And she did put shades of gray inside of the clouds, right? So I think she is doing a fabulous job when it comes to this art that she is creating. She is my artist, my in-house artist. My son is also an artist, and I'm so proud of him. He recently did an art show. He painted live while music was being played, and they sat and they watched him. I am so proud of him for continuing to pursue his artistic, desires. And it's the same thing with my daughter. She is trying to decide how she wants to grow her art business, whether they are going to be through making postcards or selling her actual work or creating stickers. We're talking about it because she loves the arts and she wants to create so many beautiful things and continue to pursue this in conjunction with her education. I mean, she's only 12 years old, but I like to encourage my children to be their best. And I am a fiber artist. Like, I'm a hobbyist, but I'm a fiber artist. And I just want them to do what they love. And so, yes, that was my art interlude for today. And I hope you like seeing it because I love seeing it. I have her art and my son's art everywhere. You can, as you'll watch some of the videos, you'll see, like right now I'm pointing to this heart on my bookshelf. You will see that I have art from them displayed in different videos and things like that because I cherish what they do. And I love that they have chosen art as a way to express themselves. So thank you for joining me in that portion. Okay, now we're going to do page flip. So that was the end of the fiber arts portion of it. Thank you so much for paying attention and watching and listening during the art interlude. Let's talk about what I've read. And this is really not even going to be in its entirety from the last time that I did the podcast because I've read so much. As I mentioned earlier, sometimes I'm reading, but not to completion. Sometimes I'm reading and I'm pausing, right? But we're going to talk a bit about what I've read here. I'm going to show you some of the books that I've read, and we are going to start with the book that I read, and I did the book review of it here on the podcast. I also posted the visual version of this book review on Mrs. R's Books and Things YouTube channel. And that is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. Okay. This was one of the books that I actually completed. I did a book review of it. This is one of the last episodes. I think it's episode 7 here for the podcast. So if you have not gotten a chance to listen to that podcast, go back and listen to it. Just like if you haven't gotten a chance to watch the video, go back and watch the video review of it. I was very detailed on my thoughts of this book. I know I've explained my thoughts on a book before, but I think I went really in depth with this. And part of the reason why is because of my new rating system. So if you're interested in that, you will see and learn more about my thoughts on this book. I will also say I love reading Kennedy Ryan's books, so you're definitely going to see more of her come up in my reading progress, my reading journey. And that book is a romance. It's a contemporary romance story, but it's also contemporary fiction for me because it also talks about a woman's journey. The next book that I read to completion is I'm Medusa by Ayana Gray. This one has an upcoming book review because I am currently working on that. I had to gather like all of my notes on this book and sit down and write out my thoughts on this book. And now I'm in the process of writing my blog post. Oh, that's the other thing. If I do a book review and I share it on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, there is also a book review on my website to go with that. And that website is Mrs. R's Reading Corner. That's just a completely bookish website and blog over there. So I'm currently writing the blog post for this one, and I'm hoping that I'll come out with it within the next week. But the challenge is when I read books, I remember that there's an author who read the book, right? And I don't want to do the book any injustice or the author any injustice, but I am a critical reader. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I need to try to not be so critical, but the thing is, I had really high expectations. And normally, when I'm diving into a book, I'm expecting something. And so the way that my rating system is, I break down the reader's experience, but also like the plot and the structure. And then I look at should I recommend the book? Then I look at the content, who should be reading the book and things like that. So that's everything that goes into doing this book review. And so hopefully I'll be done with this within the next week. But this is a retelling of Medusa. And I actually thought it was going to be a YA. So it's not YA simply because she turns 18 in the book. But I think that it is kind of YA because the character is 17 throughout the majority of the story. And for me, sometimes that's hard because I have my own children. I'm reading a story. And so oftentimes I'm not just reading a story as an adult, right? I'm not just reading a story as a woman. I'm also reading a story a lot of times as a mother. And so there's a part of me that when I'm reading books like this, I'm trying to enjoy the story, but I'm also doing a lot of thinking about the experience in the book. And also, what's the book's message and what will people get from it, right? So I'm doing a lot of thinking about that. But yes, this is one of the books that I completed as well. Hopefully, I'll have a podcast and a book review and a YouTube video coming up about it soon. The next book I read, I don't have the physical version of it, and I didn't read it to completion. I'm almost done with it. Actually, I listened to this book through Audible, and that is John Grisham's The Widow. I did this one with a book club that I'm a part of, and it was okay. I don't think I'm going to do a book review on it as much as I will probably just mention it and give my thoughts on it. And the reason why I will rate it like on Amazon and probably Goodreads and things like that. But the reason why is because I think it's a different experience when I listen to a book versus when I read the book with my eyes. And the way that I rate my books, it's not fair to the author or to the book if I rate the book the same way because I'm reading the writing and things like that. So maybe later on I can come up with an audiobook rating system, but for right now I'm not doing that. So I will simply like tell you if I liked it or if I didn't and what I thought about it. This one so far, because I'm almost done, I think it has like 72 chapters or something like that. And I'm currently on like chapter 59 or something, almost finished with the book. And it's okay. So I'll give you more thoughts on that over on the YouTube. The next book that I was reading is The Circle by John Eggers. Now, this was a book club read for the Bookish Palate, which is my book club, and I was doing the read via audiobook, and I enjoyed this story. However, when I got closer to the end, I felt like I was missing something because I was listening to the audio. And so I paused it and I said, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to listen to it more. Like I'm so close to the end of the book. But then I went to a used bookstore and I'm just looking around because I do love book shopping, but I also love getting used books, right? Because you can get so much more when the books are used. I don't want the used book market to go away. Like I want books to be purchased whether they're new or used. Like I'm not a hater. I'm a lover of books. And so I found this book and I was so excited to find this book at the used bookstore because when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, if I can get that book, I will buy it, but I don't want to buy it hardcover. And I secretly have a thing for mass paperback books. I guess it's not a secret anymore because I just said it, but I have a thing for mass paperbacks, and it is because I like to take them with me and I like to just sit down. They feel kind of cozy. They feel like, I don't know, like I have a special experience going on with paperback books. And I think it's also because it's easier for me when me and my family travel. When we go trips to the beach or just taking trips in general, I can have my mass paperback book with me and I could put it in my purse. And it's not something that is like in the way. So I was excited to find this particular book. And this one is a semi dystopian novel. I think it is dealing with like the idea that social media will control the life of individuals and communication, and that it's kind of used in an economic form. So it's very, very interesting, but it also takes into question the idea of like when an artist creates something and they just have a desire to create and to be innovative, it's good until someone else gets a hold of it and they begin to use it. Now the question is it good or is it bad? And how does it affect society and things like that? So this is another book that I've read. I am almost done, literally like almost done with it. And then we will finish it from there. That's interesting. This is a used book. I just found something in the book and I will have to make sure that I figure out how to clean this. I think that is one of my questions too, is like for used books, how do I clean them? Because I don't want to damage the book but I want it clean a certain way. And I don't read used books in my bed in general. And that's just because I don't know how long the book has been sitting on the shelf. I hope there's nothing in the book. And so I'm normally like up and about when I'm reading the book. And then when I purchase used books, I also let them sit in the bag that they're in or in a space that's untouched for a few days before I actually go and I read it. I've heard someone say they put their books in the freezer, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. Next, let's talk about the current read for the Bookish Palette. The Bookish Palette is my book club, and every month we read a particular book. And then inside the Discord, we have the discussion. The discussion can be listened to by members that are not Patreon supporters. However, it is only inside of the book club that we have the discussion. Now, will I rate the books that I read from the book club? Probably, but the discussion portion is only a part of the book club. Are you looking for a community that connects around the hobbies and things that you love? Well, that's exactly what I'm building over in my Discord, Mrs. R Corner. I'd like to invite you to become a Patreon supporter. You'll get exclusive access to the community. You'll also help me to continue to share reviews, information on fiber arts, and spread the word about the importance of having healthy hobbies. Visit patreon.com/Mrs. R Corner for more. So, this month, we are reading The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. And this is a book that I've had on my shelves for quite some time. I've said, okay, I want to read this book. And I was excited as we have the list for the Bookish Palette. Now, the Bookish Palette is called the Bookish Palette because it's about taking this journey where we taste and see the different genres or subgenres of books and types of books to determine what it is that we like. And we give ourselves the chance to like venture out into different subjects and topics and genres. It's like if you're going to a different restaurant and you may like wings, right? But at a different restaurant, the wings are different. Or like me, I love spinach and artichoke dip. But when I go to a different restaurant, that's different too. Maybe you like wine sipping and tasting. So that's always going to be different as well. That's the idea with a bookish palette. It is that through reading a different type of book, you get to have a different type of experience. And so The Vanishing Half is a story of two sisters that they are African American and they go off and they marry. One marries someone who is Black, the other one marries someone who is white. And the one who marries someone who is white, she is passing and her husband has no idea about her past. So in this story, supposedly, it deals with identity. It also deals with the societal pressures and societal norms. And I think we also begin to see the relationship with self and with family members. And so this is something that I've heard that it's a good book and we're going to see if it is. And I will give you my honest opinion about what I think about it once I'm done. So I haven't started yet, but this is what I'm reading this month with the Bookish Palette. If you want to join us, then consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Join us in Patreon, and then you will get an invite into the Discord and we can discuss it there. However, if you are, no, that's the only way. Next, I'm reading His and Hers by Alice Feenley. Now, this is a series, a TV series. My daughter is waiting on me to finish this so we can talk about it. And I only picked it up because of a book club. So I'm a part of the Homeschool Moms Book Club, and this was the selection for this month. And so I'm going to get this book read so I can talk about it with the homeschool moms. I can talk about it with my daughter, and then I can finally watch the series. I don't watch series or shows if I know that there's a book about it without reading a book, because the book is always better than the series or the TV show, the movie. At least that's what I think normally. Plus, I don't want to miss all the details because they just don't put everything in, but how could they, right? So we'll see how this is, but this is also what I'm currently reading. I'm also reading The Witch of Blackbird Pond with my 12-year-old. We're reading this for school. We're doing our read aloud. And let me just tell you, some of this is, of course, it's historical fiction, but some of this is just plain funny because we are learning how they would have said things a long time ago. I mean, her and I cracked up when we got to the portion of the story where this man takes off his hat and the main character says, "What a fine forehead he had." And we just laughed so hard because neither one of us could actually imagine what a fine forehead looks like. I mean, I want you to just think about it for a second. What is a fine forehead? Can anyone tell me? What is a fine forehead? If you can, then sure, send me a comment somewhere. Mostly put it on the podcast channel underneath the video and let me know what a fine forehead is. But this book, we are reading it. And yes, it is historical, but that was hilarious. Next, I'm also reading with my 12-year-old Anne of Green Gables. And again, we have some comedy here. We have Mrs. Can't even think of her name right now. I don't know, but there's a nosy lady and she's just in everyone's business. And this is hilarious. Okay, the language of it is a little difficult because it was written, I believe, in like 1909 or something like that. I'm not quite sure. It was first published in 1908. So it's a little bit difficult to read, but we are reading it. And we're enjoying the story so far. So we are reading Anne of Green Gables. And we're doing The Witch of Blackbird and Anne of Green Gables as read alouds. I am also reading Outlander. And I am reading this as a huge challenge. Outlander has been on my shelves for 18 years. It's been a really, really long time. I bought this thinking I was just going to pick it up and read it. I never did. I tried to read it so many different times, and currently I am in about chapter 10 of this book. I started trying to watch the show with my husband and realized that episode 1 is up to chapter 10, and I was like, pause. I need to get through this so that we can watch it. And I really love book series. So the thing is, I want to finish this and actually read the other books. I'm also doing a reread of The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. And the reason why is because years ago, I did a read of James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time, and I published a video about it. And I get a lot of comments. And the thing is, I don't remember everything about what he said. And my worldview has changed just a little bit. Go so I can finish. I'm almost done. Almost done. So I don't remember a lot of what he said, right? I remember the gist of it. But in order to really respond to the comments, I'm going through and I'm doing a reread because I want to see if I still think the same thing that I thought when I read the first time. And I want to be able to respond better to the comments. So this is not a big book. I will say, I started reading it and I read something that he said and it really stood out to me. I am making notes and I am going to share on this book soon. Last but definitely not least, is Forget Me Not by Brenda Jackson. I am loving this book. Now, I got this used a while ago and it's just been sitting on my shelves. Now, this is the second book in a series, but from my understanding, you don't have to read the first book in order to read the second book, and I'm not doing that. I'm just reading this one. If I'm missing something, I can't tell because the story it has sucked me in. I've read the first 100 pages already. My goal was to have this book read like in 5 days. And I sectioned it off in 3 sections because I wanted to get to the first 100, second 100, last 100 pages of the book and know like how much progress I'm making. But in the past day and a half, I've already read over the first 100 pages and I absolutely love this story. It is a second chance romance. And now I know it's not quite a slow burn, but I guess it's going to have to be a slow burn. I also do not have any clue of spice level. I don't know if we're going to have on page, off page, but it is about a married couple and it is a great love story so far. Brenda Jackson has written 150 books. This is what I've just learned about this author. So far, because of how much I am loving it, I'm currently thinking about adding her to the list of authors that I plan on reading their entire catalog. But 150 books, oh my gosh. This feels a little bit intimidating, but I'm putting her right next to Christina C. Jones because Christina C. Jones has a lot of books, and so does Debbie McComber. So, you know, let's see what happens. And then the other thing is, you see, it's mass paperback. So what does that mean? It means I can take it with me in the car, on trips. I can have it with me at gymnastics. It's easy to travel with. And that's why I like mass paperback books. So I'm definitely going to get into this weekend. It's probably going to be done in like the next day or two because of how much I am loving this story. I literally had to stop myself from reading it last night. I had to tell myself, okay, enough. Go ahead and go to bed. But it's because it's such a beautiful story. I love it. Okay. That is it for the page flip portion of the podcast. I do just want to kind of throw something in here, which I don't normally do. But I want to talk a little bit about what I've watched, and I want to tell you if I think you should watch it or not. I'm not doing any reviews and I'm not giving too many details. I just want to kind of throw this in here. So I've watched Bridgerton, the last release of it, and I thought it was good. There were certain things that I was a little bit frustrated with. I love the music and I did like the diversity. I like that, the main female character was Asian. That gave me a new perspective, right? I don't think I watch a lot of shows or movies that have an Asian main female character. So that was a nice twist and turn. However, there were certain things about it that kind of rubbed me the wrong way when it came to the portrayal of love and intimacy. That was a bit of a concern for me. But I do think that if you're an adult and you enjoy watching things like Bridgerton and love stories, that you should give it a try, check it out. And there were some things that I was just like, oh my gosh. But I did a reaction video for this over on my YouTube channel as one of my shorts. Then my husband and I, as I mentioned before, we started watching Outlander, and I paused it because I am reading the book. I will also say I fell asleep on the first episode, so I'm not sure if that was just because I was tired or if I was bored or if I just need to know more about the story, and then maybe I'll actually finish it. But I'll probably have a better answer for you once I am closer to being done with the book or once I'm done with the book. Okay. Then there is Relationship Goals. That one is a movie with Method Man and Kelly Rowland. And I kind of liked it, but there were some things about it that drove me a little bit crazy, especially Kelly Rowland's wardrobe. Okay. What was up with the huge shoulder pads in the movie and the boxy top and then the thin bottom when she was in this space of being a female leader in corporate? I'm not sure that the attire needed to be what it was in order to communicate the message, but the story was cute. It was cute and unexpected. So you may want to check that one out. You may enjoy it, but then you may also be like, I don't know. Killers of the Flower Moon with Leonardo DiCaprio, and he is in this one, and it's about taking over a Native American reservation, and that was a really good movie. I was sad when I watched it. I was a bit frustrated, but it was a really good movie, and if you had the opportunity to check it out, I do recommend that you do that. Next was another one with Leonardo DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor. That one was called One Battle After Another. Okay, the trailer, which I didn't even watch the entire trailer because I don't like watching the full trailer, However, it was very deceptive, and even my husband said it was not what he expected it to be. There were portions of it that I liked and others that I was like, I'm not sure. But this movie was mostly like a theatrical presentation of the current times, and it was more like a political statement that was being made. You might want to check it out. I don't know. But it reminded me of like when my daughter wants to watch A24 movies, and more than the story, we're paying attention to the camera's angles. And it also gave Spike Lee in one of his older movies where we're just looking at the main character do something that feels really tedious for a long time, but it's like a space of making you think. And we did this during this movie at one point, and I was like, this is too much. So again, you may want to check it out, but I don't know. Then we watched Avatar. Oh, Avatar. Avatar was so nice. We saw it in the movie theater. We saw it in 3D. Absolutely loved it. Looking forward to the next one, even though I know it's going to take a while, and I will be watching it again at home because my daughter wants to see it. I love the movie. It was really good. It even made me wish there was a book to read. And I just love how they developed the characters. And then I can't remember the main female character, her name. But what I loved about this one was because I remember who she was in Avatar 1, and now here we are, and she's a mom, and she has older kids, and she's a wife, and she's dealing with grief and all this stuff. The evolution of the character, I just loved it. And the main male character as well. Some parts of this, I was like, oh my God, what are we really doing here? But I did enjoy the movie. And I think you should watch it. Okay, that was it for what I watched. Now I want to tell you what I am excited to watch, what I want to see, okay? And there's only one of these right now. If you enjoyed this segment of the podcast, let me know and I'll add this in again, as long as I'm watching stuff, because sometimes I just don't. But the other thing I'm excited to see is You, Me, and Tuscany, and that is coming out April 10th, 2026. This movie is with Haley Bailey, and I don't know the male main character's name, but he's the guy from Bridgerton Part 1. This looks like such a beautiful, fun love story. At least what they're showing us online makes it look like that's what it is. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cooking because it's in Tuscany, and I want to see it. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you check it out so we can talk about it, or at least when I tell you about it in a podcast, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think you should check that out, okay? Remember, April 10th, 2026. So that is it for this podcast episode. I just want to thank you so much for joining me, for taking the time to come and sit with me. Hopefully you have taken your water breaks when I've taken them. And if there's any questions that you have about anything, then just let me know. Be sure to go post the comments with the questions that I've asked you. Let me know what you're thinking. Have you read any of these books? What projects are you working on? And I just want to invite you to go over to the Patreon, join the book club, and become a part of the community. I want to thank you again for joining me, and we'll come together another time. So until then, bye.